Didn't want you to forget that you were
good.
muted.
Yep, we are live.
Thank you, Alex.
Yep.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josephine Spencer, and I'd like to welcome you to the White Lake Township Zoning Board of Appeals. This board is a quasi-judicial board which consists of 5 members. In order for your variance to be granted, you must receive a majority vote from the full board. This evening, we have a meeting scheduled directly after ours, a planning commission meeting, and so we are going to attempt to be done by 6:30 in order to allow them to begin their meeting. So we want everybody to be mindful of that. In order for this board to grant a variance, you must prove a practical difficulty exists. Unfortunately, personal circumstances or financial hardships cannot be considered by this board. If your variance is granted, you have 6 months to obtain the required permits, or your variance will expire and you must reappear before this board. If your variance is denied, you have the right to appeal this decision. By state statute, you must appeal to the circuit court and have 30 days to file an appeal. There is no other township board that can overrule this decision. All cases will be heard in the order they appear on the agenda. I will call the case, staff will give their review, and the proponent will have 20 minutes to speak. The board will then ask questions of the proponent, and then the public hearing will be opened. Each member of the public who wishes to speak will have 3 minutes in which to do so. At the end of the 3 minutes, you will be cut off. We ask you please state your name and address for the record. After the public hearing is closed, the proponent will have 5 minutes to address any questions or concerns. Will then be brought back to the board for consideration, a motion, and a roll call. And with that, Hannah, may we have a roll call, please?
Howell,
Yes, here.
Shellac,
Present.
Stieber,
Here.
Spencer,
Here.
Walls is absent, DeHart,
Here.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And do we have a support?
Support.
May we have a roll call, please?
Shellac,
Yes.
DeHart,
Yes.
Stieber,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes. We have the minutes of October 22nd for approval. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do we have a support?
I'll support.
Thank you. Again, may we have a roll call, please?
Shellac,
Yes.
Stieber,
Yes.
DeHart,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes, and we have the December 10th minutes for approval. And Nick, you had said you had a
Just on
question.
page 8. It says, Mr. Shellac asks staff, is the parcel? It should be if the parcel. And that's all.
Thank you. Any other corrections? If not, may we have a motion and a support?
I'll make a motion with the proposed correction of that one word.
Thank you, Nick.
Support. Mike Powell.
Thank you, Mike. And may we have a roll call on that, please, Hannah?
Shellac,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Stieber,
Yes.
Spencer,
Yes.
DeHart.
Yes.
Just a
And-
quick statement, Madam Spencer. I wanted to compliment Hannah for the great job on those minutes. These are hard minutes to take. And she did a great
Absolutely.
job.
Yes, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much on that, Hannah.
Yeah, we have
Thank
had some rough conversations, so we really appreciate everything Hannah's done. And I want to just add on to what Mr. Powell just said. My little snickety moments where I catch things is nothing more than a compliment in general. So just please know that, they're incredible.
Thank you.
I'm just happy
Yeah.
to know you guys are reading the minutes.
Oh, for sure. Well, I have OCD, so there we go.
And with that, calling the first case, Michelle Squires, 9578 Buckingham, also identified as 1214-201-014. The applicant requests to construct an addition and covered porch on a single-family house, requiring variances from Article 3.1.6.e, R1D, single-family residential, front yard setback, and maximum lot coverage. A variance from Article 7.28A, repairs and maintenance to non-conforming structures, will be required due to both the value of the improvements and the increase in cubic content. For the record, 21 owners within 300 feet were notified of this request. No letters received in favor, one received in opposition, and none returned by United States mail undeliverable. And with that, may we have staff report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, board members. On the screen is a sketch provided by the applicant. As the chair said, this property is located at 9578 Buckingham. It's located on Pontiac Lake and zoned R1D, which is a single-family zoning district. This existing house on the property is approximately 2,600 square feet in size. The applicant's proposing to construct a covered front porch on the front of the house, which would be the south side here. It's 6 feet by 16 feet in size. That's 96 square feet. This site plan, while there's a scale shown in the corner here, it's not drawn to scale. So we did our best to approximate the existing and proposed setback. The house currently is about 14 feet from the front lot line. The proposed porch would be about 8 feet. So they would be requesting a variance of 22 feet for the covered front porch. There is a brief narrative in your staff report. On November 9th of this year, the applicant received a building permit from the township to construct a 743 square foot addition that's shown here on the east side of the house, and a 12 foot by 20 foot covered porch on the rear of the house. That building permit was issued in error. It resulted in non-compliance with the zoning ordinance. The variances that should have been required for those projects were for lot coverage and the value of improvement to a non-conforming structure. The rear covered porch was constructed prior to intervention by the planning department. In an email dated November 23rd, staff recommended the applicant stop work on the addition until after a decision was rendered by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Since that time, footings have been poured for the foundation. The walls are up, and I believe roof trusses are being installed or were installed. The applicant was informed of possible ramifications of continued work, which could include removing the footings or the covered porch if the variances are denied. The existing house is non-conforming to setbacks, which triggers the value of improvement to the non-conforming structure. Again, Article 7, Section 28 of the zoning ordinance limits repairs and maintenance to non-conforming structures to 50% of the state equalized value in any period of 12 consecutive months. The SEV of this building is $128,630. So the maximum extent of improvements is $64,315. The value of the proposed work is $120,000. So a variance to exceed the allowed value of improvements by 186.58% is being requested. Again, lot coverage was also identified as an issue. With the rear covered porch, the addition, and the front covered porch, this proposed lot coverage is 28.52%. Again, in R1D zoning, the maximum allowed is 20%. So they're exceeding the allowed coverage by 8.52%, which is 1,116.79 square feet of additional coverage. Again, Article 7, Section 37 of the zoning ordinance provides the standards the Zoning Board of Appeals needs to consider when reviewing a variance request. All of the criteria need to be met in order to grant a variance. I know I was intentionally brief, so if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
I do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Does anybody have
So,
questions? Nick, go
I
ahead.
do. So just to help us with the timeline, as best as you can, I mean, we're not quoting you on this. When did the applicant get informed not to continue the work? How were they informed? And then about when did the work continue after they were informed?
So I had phone conversations with the applicant on November 23rd and also followed up in an email on the same day to document that in writing. The building official had conversations with the builder prior to November 23rd as well. So that's how they were informed, both in writing and verbally by telephone.
And the fillings, as best as we can tell, you think happened after that date? Is that correct?
We know they happened after that date.
Okay.
Mike?
Justin, the work was done according to an approved building permit though, correct?
Right. So the building permit was issued in error. So I think the building official is present on the call. If you have a question for him.
You mean to tell me our building official's human? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We're all human. So
All right.
Well,
I do have another question, Justin. Certainly, we've talked about the percent of nonconformity of the SEV value, and we've kind of talked about that. Maximum lot coverage in an R1D lot, and specifically in this area, and I kind of toured this entire subdivision in person, and then also via Oakland County Gateway. It appears to me that a large percentage of the homes in this whole area exceed the maximum percent coverage. Would that be a correct assumption?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
so the thing that happened after you contacted the family, the household applicant, sorry, was it still in conformity with the application that you're saying was in error?
Correct. So they're operating under a building permit. They were not straying away from the permit.
Okay.
I want to be careful with my words here. There's
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my big deal is about us standing behind our word. So I just want to,
Yeah, I mean, so
Keep
the
that in
timeline, the covered porch was already constructed by the time that we became aware of this. The addition was not. So,
okay. So wait, the covered part was approved and they did it.
right, the covered part,
Addition,
it was all unapproved under a building permit. Okay?
everything.
Except the front covered porch. The rear covered porch and the addition were approved on November 9th under a building permit. They constructed
Gotcha.
the porch in accordance with the building permit. However, constructing that porch, constructing this addition puts the house or the property above the lot coverage that's allowed. So that
So
should
the
have
front,
thought.
so the front covered porch part, I mean, that was the part that was not approved in November, correct?
Correct.
And
So
is that part of what was the fillings were placed for?
No,
Okay. Is that part even been done yet at all?
no, they have not started work on the front. The front porch has not been approved
Yeah.
by a building permit or otherwise.
So again, I want to, just before we even begin the rest of the process, I want to just put out there again, the tension for me between, you know, we have to honor and respect our laws, but at the same time, we have to honor and respect our word. And if we approve something, whether it's actually this board or not, I just feel we have to be really, really thoughtful about what that means. That's
Sure.
all.
And
That's all.
I did not mean to disparage our building official.
No, you didn't at all. No, I didn't hear that at all. No, you didn't at all. You didn't.
The other side of the coin is there are neighbors on the street who have applied for variances in the process that they should have applied. So,
Yeah, you're totally right. I'm just saying it puts us in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Honoring our word, honoring the law.
Yeah.
We should be able to do both of those, hopefully. But sometimes we're put in a tight spot. So, but thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot either. Just I
No.
appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions of staff? If not, if the proponent is present, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 20 minutes in which to explain the situation to us, please.
Hi, I'm Michelle Squires, 9578 Buckingham. I actually have my lawyer here representing me as well, Amy Marino. If you want to go ahead and get started, I appreciate you.
Sure. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen of the board, good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Amy Marino. I am representing the applicant, Michelle Squires. My address is 27495 Franklin Road, apartment 106 in Southfield, Michigan, 48034. So there are two issues, and just for a little bit of clarity, there is a front porch and there is a rear porch. And it's important to separate those two because one of them, as to the front covered porch, Ms. Squires was advised in writing in the permit that the township issued on November 9th that she would have to apply for a variance to construct the front porch. And she has done that, and no construction has been done on the front porch, and she has spent $0 in reliance on any kind of grant of a variance for that front porch because she knows that process is still underway. The back porch and the addition is a very separate concern. And the reason why construction, first of all, began on the addition and the back porch is simply because she acted in good faith in reliance on the permit issued by the township on November 9th. It was 2 weeks later that she first received word, I believe, from Mr. Spencer and Mr. Quaglata, and I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name, sir. But that was when she first received word that there was an issue with coverage and needing a variance for the rear covered porch and the addition. So what happened between the date that the township issued the permit to begin construction on the addition and the rear covered porch, and the 2 weeks later on the 23rd when she first received notice that there was a problem, is that she acted in, well, in the law, what we call detrimental reliance. She acted in good faith reliance on that permit to the tune of $36,000 that she spent to pay her contractor to get started on this project. Now, the reason the $36,000 was spent to order materials that were ordered and purchased. Those materials included custom built trusses. There was a subcontractor that had to come out to her property and measure so that they could be custom built. Those trusses have had already been built and paid for before the 23rd when she received notice of the coverage issue. Those cost approximately $9,000. They are not standard goods that can just be sold to someone else and she can get her money back. They were measured and custom built, and they had already been built before she received any notice that there was a problem with the permit the township had issued. The day that she was notified of the problem, on the 23rd, she had scheduled already for the footings to be poured that day. That means she had already paid for, ordered and paid for the cement and the materials for that to be done, and had already contracted with her contractor to carry that out. Then she had also purchased metal roof panels for the addition. This requires a little bit of explanation. So in late 2018 and through early 2019, Ms. Squires began construction on a separate project and unfortunately ran into some problems with the contractor. And I don't want to get into that too much because there's litigation still pending. I don't represent her in that litigation, so I don't want to comment on it beyond that. But to this day, she is trying to ameliorate and mitigate the problems that were created in that earlier construction. And one of those problems was that the roof was done by this previous constructor in a way that it had a large valley in the middle of it, and it created a leak situation that was damaging her property. And so with this contractor, what she has done is begun the process of putting a new roof on. She wants to do it in one unified application so that the roof is uniform across the entire structure and maximizes the aesthetics and the value of the addition, and sort of fixes the sort of awkward chopped up look that the structure has now. That would be a benefit to the community, not just to Ms. Squires. The problem is, however, once construction started, well, I guess I should say demolition of the old roof is taken off. There's no felt, there are no shingles, and the structure remains vulnerable to incursion by the weather. Now she's under time pressure as well. So this started in early to mid-November. The weather is advancing. The weather is not waiting for any of us. And so she has pressure on her to continue construction on the roof project so that she can have one new roof that looks right and has a unified appearance for the entire structure, the existing structure and the rear addition and rear covered porch that have been approved in the permit. So at the time when she received this notice from the township on the 23rd, she had already spent, like I said, $36,000. The roof was open and the house is vulnerable to further damage from the elements. You know, I'd like to underscore sort of the difference between how she's conducted herself with the rear addition and the rear covered porch versus the proposed front porch. Where she was notified of the need to obtain the variance, no steps were taken. She didn't begin construction. She followed that procedure. So I just want to clarify any suggestion that we had earlier that she's done something improper or has perhaps been prickly about the process. She was not able to stop construction at the point that she was told to stop, or to recoup the money that she had already spent on things like the trusses that can't be repurposed. So those are practical difficulties that exist and are specific to her property, and they exist, frankly, as a direct result of the building permit that was issued and that she relied on in good faith. Neither the front proposed porch addition or the back addition, the rear addition, and the rear covered porch are going to change the aesthetic characteristic of the neighborhood in any appreciable way, except to perhaps improve it by making this structure more aesthetically pleasing. And it's also, like you've discussed, going to raise the value. As was mentioned earlier, a majority of the homes in this neighborhood are already exceeding the coverage, the 20% coverage limit, and a number of them are already non-conforming with regard to the 30-foot front setback requirement. So I think those are important things to keep in mind. This isn't going to be a drastic change to the neighborhood, and in fact, should be an improvement to the aesthetics.
Thank you. Does
Michelle,
anybody?
did I cover everything, Michelle? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Any board members? Does anybody have any questions they'd like to address?
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
certainly, I think this board recognizes that weather was coming upon Ms. Squires, and so there are a couple issues to just stop construction, even being told that there was an issue there. I can see the hardship, certainly the non-self-imposed hardship, and that the weather would be closing in. I'm having a new roof put on my house, and the poor roofers are having a terrible time with even the snow that I'm experiencing now. And then also, if you stop construction on a project and tell a contractor to leave, who knows when you could get that contractor back again. So I personally totally understand the issue, even though she was warned that she was doing something that was going to put her in non-conformity. But then I have a question on the proposed addition, Ms. Squires. I don't understand a couple things on the proposed cover on the front porch. It's proposed 6 feet deep and 16 foot wide. And the plan itself shows that it's on the left-hand side of the front of the house, which is over windows, instead of on the right-hand side of the house, which is over a door. So I have two questions. Number one, shouldn't it be better over the door on the east side of the front of the house? Number one. And number two, why does it need to be 16 feet wide when the front porch only measures about 5 feet wide?
So I can answer that. Should that be granted, that variance, I'm actually going to move the entrance to the house over to that side. So there would no longer be the windows there. And to my knowledge, and I apologize if that says 16 feet, it was only supposed to be 12. So 12 feet wide to accommodate a wider entrance.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one question regarding the footings and inspections. Have building inspections continued as construction was proceeding? Especially with regard to the footings, you know, if the building department inspected those?
I'm unaware because my contractor takes care of that, so I am unaware.
I can speak to that as a building official. Yes, actually, when I was out for the footing inspection, that is when basically that same day is when it came up that there was a lot coverage issue. So the footings were dug. At that point, they were not poured, and that is when the lot coverage issue came up, and I got in contact with the contractor. But the footings themselves were approved. Obviously, the footings are approved prior to pour.
All right, thank you.
There are no other questions from the board.
Is everything that's been done in accord with, I'm so sorry, Debbie, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. No, I just had a question. If the variance was not granted for the front porch, covered front porch, you would leave the door where it is now, and would you have any coverage over the door to
There
access?
is, I'm sorry, I apologize. Definitely didn't mean to cut you off. There is no coverage over the door where it is now. And even if we were to move it over there without the variance, so just to move the entrance, there still would be no cover.
And how deep was that? I know it was, you said
6
12 feet
feet.
wide,
6 feet,
6 feet.
6
Okay.
feet. And to my knowledge, and I could be totally wrong here, I was under the impression that from the road to the front of my house was actually 20 feet. So then adding that 6 foot would still leave me 14 feet to the road. But I'm not a builder or a surveyor, just with my tape measure.
Well, it's not really to the road, it's to your property line,
Okay.
which is not, there's a road right of way in there.
Gotcha.
My
Yep.
question, yes. So as far as building officials, is all of the work that's been done, whether or not we agree with it or not, is it all in accord with what the applicant was initially told was okay to do?
So I've only done one inspection at this point, which is for the footings. I have not been out there to inspect any of the rough framing, as I believe it's not completed
Sure.
at this point. There are, you know, as with all building and permits that I issue stipulations along with them. And one of those stipulations was all structures must maintain minimum of 30 feet from the nearest water's edge,
Okay.
as well as must maintain the minimum 10-foot side yard setback. And it was noted that a boundary survey may be required to prove this fact. Obviously, I don't have a survey to work off of. I don't have a boundary survey to work off of. By my best measurement, it looked like it. That's as much as I can do.
Yeah.
That's something that's up to a surveyor to prove otherwise.
So, Mr. Spencer, was any of the work that's been done, whether or not we agreed with it or not, was it in violation of anything that the applicant was told that they could or could not do?
I can only speak to what I see, and it appears that they have a 10-foot side yard setback and a 30-foot rear yard setback. But again, I cannot prove that. So it appears it is.
It appears it is not in violation, or
It
is
is
in
appears that it is not in violation, correct?
Okay.
So
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I have a question, if it's all right, Madam Chair, for Mr. Spencer. The addition, do you normally calculate lot coverage on an addition?
We typically do, and this was one that just unfortunately was missed on my part. And it was typically when I pull up a property, I pull up the aerial view from the county. If you pull up the aerial view from this property, it actually, because it was shot in 2017, does not show the addition that was done 2 years ago. So when you look at the property, it appeared there was no lot coverage issue, not taking into account what was already there. They didn't submit an official survey. They submitted more of a sketch. It was done professionally, but it wasn't a survey. And again, it didn't provide the lot coverage, and it was not calculated at the time.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, then I am going to open the public hearing up. As I stated earlier, anybody from the public who is present and wishes to speak, Alex will give you instructions as to how you can call in. And with that, I'm going to read into the record a letter dated December 17th, 2020, regarding the Zoning Board of Appeals special meeting on December 17th, property location 9578 Buckingham Road, to whom it may concern. We are writing this letter to object to the variances requested by Michelle Squires for the ongoing construction at 9578 Buckingham Road. Our permanent residence borders the applicant's property immediately to the east, and their address is 9568 Buckingham Road. Our first concern is that the construction commenced approximately 2 months ago, apparently without submitting a request for variances. Numerous properties on this street have undergone improvements and have gone through a zoning board of appeals meeting prior to initiating construction, with some being denied variances. Why was construction commenced here without going through the same process required of neighbors? The applicant has been through a major renovation process that started approximately 2 years ago. We would expect them and their builder to be at least somewhat familiar with zoning requirements, permitting, and submitting an accurate plan to the township. However, looking at the work completed during the first phase, it appears a variance should have been requested for lot coverage at that time as well. Second, the applicant has not ceased construction since he was notified that a variance would be required. Subsequently, the addition's foundation was completed and the floor, sidewalls, and roof trusses have been installed. This gives the impression that the applicant has either received a pre-approval from the township or fails to respect the ordinance requirements that the rest of us follow by building within the zoning limits or receiving a variance before starting construction. Article 7.37 of the White Lake zoning ordinance sets forth certain conditions whereby the zoning may grant variances. A, practical difficulty. There does not appear to be any practical difficulty, as the lot is a double lot with ample space for improvements to the home without the need for variances. The applicant desires to build a large house, has no bearing on the subject site or the use thereof. B, unique situation. We cannot see any unique situations that apply to this lot. It is a double lot, larger than many in the vicinity, and not of such a shape that would cause variances to be required to make significant improvements. C, not self-created. The need for variance appears to us to be self-created by the applicant's desire to build a large house. D, substantial justice. We do not believe that any substantial justice would be served by granting the variances. From the ongoing construction, the size of the applicant's planned house appears to be significantly larger than the majority of houses in the vicinity. Additionally, granting of the variances would have substantial adverse impact on neighboring properties through loss of view of Pontiac Lake. Other properties, including ours, are substantially set back by the lake shore. Potential damage, drainage issues caused by the high lot coverage percentage, closer to 34% by my calculation, and potential loss of property value by proximity to a house that is substantially larger than the surrounding houses. While we do recognize post-construction changes are costly and feel that anyone experiencing this situation makes it appear to other homeowners here that a resident can simply begin construction as they see fit and ask for forgiveness after. It is our understanding that the township's goal is to reduce or eliminate nonconformity over time, not add to and perpetuate them for years to come, as they would be done in this case. To reiterate, we are against the granting of the requested variances due to the applicant's failure to meet, quote, all of the conditions, unquote, as required per 7.37. We understand that if we are aggrieved by the Zoning Board of Appeals decision, we have the option to file an appeal with Yoakum County Circuit Court. Thank you for your consideration of this issue and appreciate the uniform enforcement of zoning requirements in our community. And it's assigned a Nick and Molly Mott Osting, O-O-S-T-I-N-G, and their address is 9568 Buckingham Road. That was the only letter in file. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this? If so, please state your name and address for the record, and understand you have 3 minutes in which to address this, and then you will be cut off.
So callers, press *9 to raise your hand if you'd like to speak. And we do have one caller, 4425, and I'll ask you to unmute and press *6 to unmute yourself. And once again, you will have 3 minutes. And go ahead.
Yes, hello, this is Nick Osting.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, this is Nick Osting. I live at 9568 Buckingham Road, next door to the subject property. My wife and I have lived here for about 23 years. I did send the letter, so I'm not going to restate that. Thank you for reading that. I just looked at the planning reports and the SketchUp today. I guess a couple of comments on that. As I look at the SketchUp and the coverage areas that are stated in the planner report, I think there's some errors there, and it may be due to the rough dimensions that are on the SketchUp. But when I calculate the area of the house versus the lot coverage area, I come up with almost 30% coverage for what they are requesting, not 28%. Additionally, there are 2 accessory structures on the west side of the property, which are not included on the SketchUp document. I think the total area of those are roughly 200 square feet, which pushes the total lot coverage up to around 31.5%, I think. One of those accessory structures have been there for quite some time, as long as I've been here at the property. The other one was constructed back in 2018 by the applicant. And to me, anyway, it does look like it is non-conforming and closer than the required 5-foot setback for those types of structures. And again, looking at the SketchUp, looking at the actual size of their house as it currently sits, when they did their construction back in 2018, it seems like a variance should have been applied for at that time to even build what they have now, because it looks to me like the lot coverage is in the mid-20s for what they started with for this phase of the construction. So it doesn't appear to me that variances are being granted or ordinances are being enforced evenly throughout the neighborhood here. Honestly, I don't have any issues with the variance for the front yard setback or even for the value of the improvements. I am all in favor of residents, improving the properties to improve the appearance of the neighborhood. But in this case, I am against granting variances for lot coverage I think consideration needs to be given to surrounding residents and how the proposed improvements might impact our use and enjoyment of our property. So that's all I have. Thanks for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any other people in the audience, Alex?
So no one else has raised their hand for this matter.
Then I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Does the board have any additional comments or questions, statements?
I don't know if I would have actually approved this. But you know, we have to stand behind our word. And when something goes out, even erroneously, like it just, we have to think about, can people trust the township? Whether we like it or not, can people trust the township? And yeah, I don't know if I would have said yes to this. But I know that we've already done that, and somebody's invested a lot of money. And to me, it's just, we have to ask ourselves, I mean, if we are the one, I mean, because we, meaning like we, the township, because we're part of the township, if we're the ones who screwed up, we're the ones who screwed up. It's not one part of the township, it's all of us. It went out on our behalf as the township. Again, I just don't know if I would have said yes. I would have had to deliberate a lot on it, but that letter went out. And yeah, I mean, you know, the day that footings are being filled, how in the world can you turn that sucker around? You can't put that genie back in the bottle.
So I've got to jump in.
I'm sorry,
real
that's
quick.
just where I'm at. So thank you.
So we did have one caller raise their hand. It was a few seconds after you had closed. Should we give them their other 3 minutes?
Absolutely, Alex.
Yeah.
Let them in,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. I'd love to hear what people have to
Okay,
say.
great. So caller 9613, press *6 to unmute. Caller that's ending in 9613, it's *6 to unmute. Okay, and the floor is yours.
We just need your
Hello,
name
my
and
name is-
address for the record, please.
No problem. My name is Paul Schott. I live at 9548 Buckingham. And I do object to the building going on. I don't know what else to say except for she took away my view. She's overbuilt. She's too close to the water, and I do object. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else, Alex?
Thank you.
Nope, that is all.
Then I will once again reclose the public hearing after having opened it. And it's back to the board members. What's your, Mike, go ahead.
I had two issues, and certainly I'm going to agree with Nicholas on this one. And this board knows that I have a problem with blocking other people's vision on lakes.
Yep.
In this particular case, I believe if the front porch were removed, it would fall within the proper constraints, and so she could still build the addition, because I don't believe, and maybe staff could tell me, but I don't believe there's any setback requirements. I mean, we're not asking for a variance on any setbacks or anything, so the addition off the front of the house could still be built, but then she would have to kind of choose between either the front porch or the lakeside porch or the addition towards the lake. The last caller said something about it being too close to the water. Unfortunately, it meets our ordinance, and so it's not, quote, too close to the water, and therefore we couldn't deny that, or the building department couldn't deny that. I would probably have been, along with Nicholas, asking her to redesign that front addition, pulling it back in, maybe not blocking the view as much, but again, it is what it is, and I have a really hard time saying, all right, now go ahead and tear something down. That is, I don't believe, quite frankly, there's a judge in the state that would require somebody to do that. That doesn't excuse the error, but it is reality now. So That's
Mhm.
it's kind of where I'm coming from.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mike.
I
Debbie?
agree with you. Yep.
So I have a question. We've got two accessory buildings, and the addition that you did 2 years ago, you're taking the roof off and going to put, your contractor was there when I was looking at that house, put a metal roof on the entire house. And maybe this is more of a question for Justin. If the accessory buildings were not there, would that bring us into conformity with the lot coverage? Do you count the accessory structures in the lot coverage? And what if something came off the addition that went on 2 years ago? That's a garage, correct?
Yes, I will say that there are not two accessory structures on the property. There's one that was built a really long time ago. The other one I believe my neighbor is speaking about is essentially a deck box. If that makes sense, it weighs about 75 pounds. I can lift it up, move it by myself. So
Justin, does that do anything to the lot coverage?
Yeah, so the building official and I used what was submitted to calculate lot coverage. So there was no accessory structure on the plan that was submitted to us.
Oh, so we're still over, even if that wasn't there.
So are accessory structures included in the lot coverage? A
Yeah,
shed?
accessory structures, decks, pools, they're all included.
Okay.
So we're actually over the 28 if you include that 28%, if you include that accessory structure that's not there.
Yeah, and like I said, we would have included it, but it wasn't on the plan that was submitted.
So let me ask a point of order here, Justin. If we were to make a motion, and if perchance this motion were to pass, it may not be sufficient to cover the coverage that is actually occurring on site.
Right. So the accessory structure would be non-conforming coverage at that point.
So Justin, does that mean that what we advertised is different than what's now before us that we've heard about with the additional lot coverage?
No, because you're not, I just sent the notice is just for lot coverage. So I don't attach a specific dimension with a variance request for a setback, for lot coverage, for lot width. I just say the section of the ordinance that a variance is being requested from.
So legally, we're okay then to continue proceeding, is what you're saying?
Right. I'm just saying that we would just be acknowledging the accessory structure is non-conforming.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we advertise properly. So board members?
Yeah, I just have a comment about the front yard setback. I think the 6-foot depth of that porch is certainly not excessive. I think that's a reasonable amount to be needed. And the fact that really all it is a covering, a roof over that porch. It doesn't have the impact of a building addition with walls going out closer to the road. And kind of following up on Mr. Powell's comment initially, when you look at the gateway aerial photos from the county, you can see coverage appears to be much greater on many of the other lots on the rest of that peninsula, including the house next door to the east. You can see their garage is way up close as far as the front side back to the road. And coverage wise, I think it certainly looks like it's in the well over the 30% range. So I don't think the variance that they're requesting appears to be out of line.
Thank you, Cliff. Mike?
Yes, Madam Chair, if my colleagues don't have any other comments, because we're running out of time here a little bit, I thought maybe I would make a motion, if you'd like me to?
Sure.
Madam Chair, I see this as a non-self-imposed hardship. An error was made on the township's part, but certainly at no fault of the homeowner. And therefore, and I believe that the percent coverage, one other statement, there was a statement that this is a very large home. But in square footage, just because it's a ranch, it covers a lot of the property. But as far as total square footage of the home, I believe there are other homes probably larger because they have a full second story. So that's a large home as well. As far as the front yard setback, my previous home used to have no covering. And what a miserable time it was to get into the home when it's raining or snowing. And so I totally understand the request for cover. So, Madam Chair, I move to approve the variance request by Michelle Squires from Article 3.1.6E and Article 7.28A of the zoning ordinance for parcel number 12-14-201-014, identified as 9578 Buckingham Road, in order to construct a covered porch that would encroach 22 feet into the required front yard setback. And in addition, that would exceed the allowable lot coverage by 8.52%. A variance from Article 7.28A is also granted to exceed the allowable value of the improvements to a non-conforming structure by 186.5846291%. I did that for Justin. This approval will have the following conditions: that the applicant shall continue to obtain all necessary permits from the White Lake Township Building Department. And for documenting purposes in this particular case, I think it's important that an as-built survey be required to verify setbacks.
Do we have a support on that?
I'll support.
Thank you. Hannah, may we have a roll call, please?
Powell,
Yes, I believe this is a non-self-imposed hardship. It's an unfortunate situation, but I believe the practical difficulty on this site warrants the variances requested.
Seaver,
I vote yes. I believe that is a practical difficulty with regard to especially that front porch issue. I think they do need to provide for a cover over that front door, and I don't think 6 feet wide is excessive.
DeHart,
I vote yes. It is a practical difficulty that was not self-created.
Shellac,
I will vote yes. I really don't know, honestly, how I would have voted on this situation in a different scenario. But you all know that for me, we have to stand behind our word. And it happened. For better, for worse, this is what we said. We have to stand behind it. So I vote yes.
Spencer,
I'm going to vote no. I do not find a practical difficulty. I do not think this is a unique situation. I do believe it is self-created, and I don't believe that we are denying the proponent substantial justice in utilizing the property. You do have your variance. You need to give staff a couple of days to a week to get a rough draft copy of the minutes. You'll need to take those back to the building department. And with that, I'll move on to our next case.
Joe, if I may jump in real quick. So 6:50 is our hard out time. So if we're not done by then I talked with Ken and they're gonna have to cancel the following meeting.
Okay.
So I just wanted to pass that on to you.
So it's 25 after at this point. So we're going to move along then. Thank you, Alex.
Yep.
Next case is Timothy M. Andes, 490 Burgess Drive, also known as, identified as 12-27-427-016. The applicant requests to construct an addition to a single-family house requiring variances from Article 3.1.5.E R1C, single-family residential front yard setback, side yard setback, minimum lot area, and minimum lot width. A variance from Article 7.28A, repairs and maintenance to non-conforming structures will be required due to both the value of improvements and the increase in cubic content. For the record, 27 owners within 300 feet were notified of this request. No letters received in favor, none received in opposition, and none returned by United States mail. May we have staff report, please?
This property, as the chair said, is 490 Burgess Drive. It's located on Cedar Island Lake and zoned R1C. The existing house on the property is approximately 3,300 square feet in size. The applicant is proposing to reconstruct the attached garage by removing the existing structure, regrading the driveway to match the existing grades at the street, raising the floor approximately 3 feet, and removing the current second story over the garage. The project also involves improvements to other portions of the house. The existing house, which was built in 1953, doesn't meet the 10-foot side yard setback or the 35-foot front yard setback. The proposed garage would be 700 square feet in size, located 9.3 feet from the front lot line and 8.4 feet from the east side lot line. The alteration would involve, like I said, demolition of the existing non-conforming structure. And while the existing garage is the same size and contains the same setbacks as the proposed garage, once a non-conforming structure is eliminated, the zoning ordinance requires new construction to comply with the current standards. And then again, Article 7, Section 28 of the zoning ordinance limits repairs and maintenance to non-conforming structures. 50% of the SEV in any period of 12 months. Based on the SEV of this structure, which is $214,710, the maximum extent of improvements can exceed $107,355. The value of this project is $300,000, so a variance to exceed the allowed value of improvements by 279.45% is requested. And then just to cover our bases with the lot area and lot width in R1C, the minimum lot size requirement is 16,000 square feet. So the applicant is requesting a 6,112 square foot variance for lot size. And then the minimum lot width is 100 feet. And the applicant is requesting a 30-foot variance for lot width. They are present, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, Mr. Powell can go first.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
I just have a question, a technical question for Justin. I think I understand the request. I understand what the owner wants to do. I would hate for water to be running down in my garage, so I totally understand. I do not understand the relationship of the courtyard walls that are going around the existing entrance to the right-hand side of the garage. It appears that it's going to be a fairly high wall and almost a retaining type wall because the existing grade on that side of the house is low. Is there a relationship of the zoning ordinance and the setback regarding the new retaining walls and courtyard walls that he's putting in versus the structure itself?
Yeah, I would maybe let the building official and maybe chime in here. I think there's a section in the building code that says if a retaining wall is over a certain height, then it requires a permit. And then if it's attached to the house, it's considered a part of the house. So I don't know if that answers your question. I believe it's 4 feet. And it also, I think, is based on the depth of the footing. So I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Well, I guess I didn't know how it related from the building department's one thing, but from a planning and a zoning ordinance question, it's new construction, and the wall, quite frankly, is going to be 8 foot tall from the inside. It's not going to be that tall from the roadside. Is that a zoning ordinance violation or something that needs to be included, or is it just? And I didn't. The plans aren't detailed enough to know whether it's actually connected into the garage. So I don't know the answer to that, but.
Yeah, I can answer that question if I knew what you just asked. So I don't know that either. So when I find that out, if we ask the applicant, I can respond to that.
All right. But Nick has a question first.
So this is for Justin and Nick, other Nick. In your opinion, is this an increase of the non-conformity, a decrease, or keeping it steady at the same?
I would say they're
Right.
keeping it steady. They're the reason they're requesting a variance is because the zoning ordinance says that once something non-conforming is eliminated, then anything new has to meet the ordinance. So while the new garage would be the same size and maintain the same setbacks, because they're raising the finished floor of the garage, they have to completely demolish the structure to do it. So that's what's triggering it. So I would say that there would be no increase in non-conformity.
Gotcha. That's helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? If not, I see Tim's on board with us. Tim, why don't you just state name and address for the record and then let us know what you need to do.
Tim Andrus, 490 Burgess Drive, White Lake. To answer the question, it is just a 3-foot high retaining wall. Essentially, there's one there now that's closer out to the road that's actually within the right of way. I'm just moving that in to extend that parking area a little bit so the cars aren't hanging into the back of the road, but it's not going to be a screen wall on top of that. It'll just be some plantings around there at the road. So
is it attached to the house?
I guess it attaches to the house underground because it's got to retain the earth to have the steps that come down. So it technically is attached underground. I mean, it wouldn't have to be, anchored to it. It could move independently of the house structure.
How far would that be from the front lot line?
It's about the same if you follow the angle. It's about 8 feet from the front line.
The house. Go ahead.
So the retaining wall itself would be about 8 feet.
Garage though is at 9.3 feet. So it's projecting out in front of the garage. So the variance would need to be amended for that point. So if that's 8 feet from the front lot line, then it would be a 22-foot. Or actually, no, this is a 35-foot setback in R1C. So it's a.
Yeah, and that would actually be an improvement. I mean, it's bringing right now the retaining wall is completely against the property line and into the right of way. So I would say it's improving the condition that's occurring.
Sure, but so just for clarification, yeah. A 27-foot variance if it's 8 feet from the front property line. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So
it's good. But yeah, I mean, Justin said it pretty well. We're not changing the footprint. We're not changing the size of the garage. We're removing the second floor off it so that we're not increasing really the height of it, other than it's a flat roof versus a pitch roof. So it averages out about the same height.
Thank you. Any questions for the proponent? If not, I will open the public hearing. Alex, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on this case?
There are no callers waiting, Joe.
Thank you. Then I will close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for discussion, consideration, or a motion, please.
I feel good about this.
What'd you say, Nick?
I just said I feel good about this.
Go ahead, Mike.
And my immediate feeling is the same as Nicholas's. My real question is, can we really grant a variance greater than what was advertised, even though it's not
right?
I didn't advertise the number. I just advertised the front yard setback. I don't attach any dimensions or numbers to the requests that go out for notification.
You are so wise.
That is very wise. Thank you.
Thank you for making this easier.
Yes. So what's our pleasure?
Mr. Powell, if you make a motion, I'll set, or anybody.
Okay, go ahead, Cliff.
I think eliminating that second floor to the garage and raising that garage up minimizes the height, the look of that garage from the road. And being out there, taking a look, he had his truck parked in that driveway. I don't know how you get out of there in the wintertime. That was one steep driveway. So I think what he's doing is really excellent. I mean, he's gonna have a nice slope from the garage out to the street.
Yep.
And I think this is a great move.
Yep.
Totally agree. Nicholas, go for it.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me. You go for it. But I will second it.
Okay, thanks, Rick.
All right, and then, Madam Chair, if you would like, I move to approve the variances requested by Timothy M. Andrus from Article 3.1.5E and 7.28A of the zoning ordinance for parcel number 1227-427-016, identified as 490 Burgess Drive, in order to construct an attached garage that would encroach attached garage and the courtyard retaining wall that would encroach
27 feet. 27 feet.
27 feet into the required front yard setback and a 1.6 foot into the required east or side yard setback. A variance from Article 7.28A is also granted to exceed the allowable value of the improvements to a non-conforming structure by 280%. A 30-foot variance from the required lot width and a 6,112 square foot variance from the required lot size are also granted from Article 3.1.5E. This approval will have the following additions, and that all permits will be obtained from the White Lake Township Building Department. And prior to the issuance of the building permit, the applicant shall obtain a permit from the Road Commission to do any work within Burgess Drive right-of-way to improve the driveway.
And Nick, you're supporting that?
I will gladly second that. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Hannah, may we have a roll call, please?
Powell,
Yes, I believe this is going to improve the entire neighborhood and certainly the livable conditions of this home and protect it from the water damage. So yes.
Shellac,
Yes, for the reasons stated, and just adding again that I believe this is a very good improvement to the neighborhood.
Sieber,
Yes, I believe that driveway condition is a hardship, and this is a way to remedy that.
DeHart,
Yes, for all the reasons stated.
Spencer,
Yes, for all the reasons stated. Sir, you have your variance. Give staff about a week to get a rough draft copy of the minutes. You'll need to take that to the building department. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Calling our next case.
Madam Chair,
Congratulations.
can I ask real quick that you quickly approve the 2021 meeting schedule? Can we deviate from the agenda and do that? Just
Sure.
so because we have to publish our meeting dates in the
Yep.
paper, so we need to do that.
Okay,
So
do we have a-
moved.
do we
So
have a
moved.
motion?
Supported.
Okay, thank you, Nick and Mike. Do we have a roll call, please, Hannah?
Shellac,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Spencer,
Yes,
DeHart,
Yes,
Sieber.
Yes.
thank you. Our next case is Robert Snap. The location is 8834 Arlington Road, also identified as 1213-176-002. The applicant requests to construct a single-family house requiring variances from Article 3.1.6.E R1D, single-family residential, side yard setback, maximum lot coverage, minimum lot area, and minimum lot width. May we have, for the record, 29 letters were sent to everyone within 300 feet. No letters received in favor, none received in opposition, and none returned by United States mail. May we have staff report, please?
Yep, this is going to be intentionally brief and rushed. So there's a house on the property that's 975 square feet in size. The applicant would demolish that to construct a new house. In R1D, the minimum side yard setback is 10 feet. So you can see here where my cursor is, they're showing a 5-foot side yard setback. Their So they're requesting a 5-foot variance on that side. Lot coverage, again, 20% is the maximum allowed in R1D. So they're requesting 34%. That's a 14% variance. That's 953 square feet of additional coverage. The minimum lot width is 80 feet in R1D. This lot's 50 feet wide, so they're requesting a 30-foot variance. And then again, 12,000 square feet is the required lot size. And so they're requesting, based on the existing size of the lot, 5,020 square foot variance for lot size. This property, again, is just over 1/10 of an acre in size, located at 8834 Arlington and located on Pontiac Lake. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
Justin, is this increasing, decreasing, or keeping the same, the amount of moving over the lines like usual, you know?
Yeah, it would be an increase in coverage than what's there. The existing house would be slightly closer to the side lot line. So it would be obviously increasing nonconformities.
Yeah. By how
Justin,
much?
I didn't quite understand that. Did you say the existing house is closer?
The new house would be slightly closer
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
by about 1 foot, like 1
Okay.
3/4 feet closer
Yes.
Okay,
on the west side lot line.
which brings us to, if I'm looking at this right. Sorry, I'm trying to move all my screens to pull it up. So 1 foot, yeah, as you said, but
1.67 feet, it looks like, Nicholas.
yeah, thank you.
And then I don't have the coverage for the existing lot. I could calculate it if you want me to. That'd be, while the applicant's talking, I can give you the lot coverage so you have it.
What, I mean, but lot coverage is not an issue at the moment, right? Or is that an issue?
Well, they're requesting a variance for the lot
Yes.
coverage. Yeah.
It is an issue. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to track with all these.
Any other questions of staff?
So Justin, we're at 10 feet on the one side and they're asking for a variance of 5 feet on the other side.
Correct.
And no, no front or rear variance.
Correct. No front or rear variance is being requested.
Okay, so it's lot coverage and the setback. And we're 1 foot, approximately 1 foot closer than the structure that's there now.
Correct. Yep. I mean, the new structure is approximately coverage wise 1,374 square feet larger than what's there. I can get you the percentage in a second here. I'm trying to do math on the fly.
So just out of curiosity, is it better to like split the difference on setbacks? So that instead of having 5 and 10, we had 7.5 and 7.5.
There are some times where that's potentially desirable.
So my question, Debbie, right along that same line is the existing home appears to be 6.67 feet off the west property line. And the existing home is something like 15 feet off the east property line. And I would have a tendency to I would have a tendency to agree to maybe not having a bigger increase on the west side, but maintaining the 10 foot on the east side. My real problem is, and Nicholas presented that pretty well at the last meeting, and that we have to try to maintain these distances between homes on each side of the property.
Right.
The existing home to the west is only 2.3 feet off the property line, and the existing home to the east is only 3.1 or 3.3 feet off the property line. So that doesn't mean that this home shouldn't have a variance, but I'm going to ask the homeowner to or the builder to tell us why they need that 1.67 foot jog on the west property side that puts it even closer to the west property line than the existing home. So that's going to be a question I'm going to have. And I guess maybe he should start when Madam Chair opens up, is to tell us if this is put off till next month, is it going to ruin his entire construction schedule? Because we're going to have a hard time deciding this one in the next 5 minutes, I think.
We've got 2 minutes, so we need a little extra time than 6:50. So,
Hey, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I am 100% in agreement with you. And I just don't see why build one direction when you maybe could sort of start building the other direction.
Okay.
And, it's that question of, could the fire truck make it through? I mean, that's my kind of basic question. Could the fire truck make it through?
I think based on this direction, it sounds like the side yard setback on the west side should be adjusted so that you either need to take action on what's before you or table the request, don't open the public hearing, and they can come back.
Yeah, my concern with just taking action is I'd like to understand the floor plan and why he's asking for this, except for the fact that he can. Is it going to totally ruin the livability of the home in that 1.67 feet further encroachment on the west side?
And as Mr. Powell said, I mean, I am just getting to this point of, why are we increasing non-conformities? And I don't know, it's just getting to me now. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, well, floor plans can be changed when the house hasn't even been constructed yet. So
right.
I would deny this or table it in the next minute here. If you're going to deny it, you need to open the public hearing. If you're going to table it, we can table it quickly.
Well,
so Madam Chair, I'm willing, although there's no discussion on tabling motion, I believe the applicant needs the opportunity to know that I'm inclined of denying his request for the west property line setback. That being said, I move to table this so that he can present his case at our next meeting.
I will second that.
all right. We have
Yep.
a motion to table, and it's been supported.
Is it appropriate for me to make a comment with my second, or do I have to wait till the vote? I'll wait till the vote. Go for it.
Okay. Hannah, may we have a roll call, please?
Powell,
I move to table, and yes.
Schlack,
Yes, I feel the same thing as Mr. Powell. I'm really becoming uncomfortable with increasing nonconformities when there are very obvious other ways to avoid them.
DeHart,
Yes, for those reasons.
Spencer,
Yes, for the same reasons.
Seaver,
Yes.
Mr. Snap, I'm sorry that we're going to have to table this. Staff will give staff a call, and they'll explain to you what it is that we're searching for.
If I centered the property right now, could we get it approved?
We got to move on. We got to adjourn the meeting. You'll have to follow up with me. I'm sorry.
Joe, for clarity, was that a yes vote? I think you maybe said it, but I didn't hear it. I just want to make sure.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Can we quickly have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Mike, support?
Okay.
Nick? Roll call, please.
Powell,
Yes.
DeHart,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes.